Hello and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's a show where I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about really interesting topics to inspire and motivate both personal and professional growth. Today, we are having a really cool conversation. We are talking about prosperity. And this conversation is worth your while because maybe you've struggled to organize your finances. Maybe you don't know how. Maybe you started, but then you didn't stick to a budget. Or maybe you never even really needed to be concerned before now. But with inflation, with prices up, with the market down, and AI displacing certain jobs, it's really more important than ever to know that we have a plan for the future and we can live within our means. But here's something you might not know. Did you know that mindset is the foundation for everything we want to do, everything we want to achieve? So it's because how you think informs your goals, your prosperity goals, any other goal you have, and it determines whether you will achieve them and stick to them. So if a mindset is the underlying culprit, then shifting your mindset is the key to prosperity. So today's conversation, you will discover how to declutter your mind for prosperity. And I am Linda Bucher, and I have the best job in the world. I help people get unstuck. It's my superpower, and I love empowering high potential and multi-passionate people to find their superpowers, to get to that next level and get the most out of life, because that is what you are here for. I'm a transformational speaker. I'm a master certified life coach, and this is what I do. Now, I wasn't always like this. Like for 45 years, I lived the life of a chameleon. I was feeling the whole time like a victim of circumstance. But then I finally shifted my mindset, discovered who I am, connected with my passion and purpose, and then reinvented my life to align with my true self. And when that happens, guess what? You become happier, more confident, more fulfilled, and most important thing is you get to confidently use your gifts and unleash them into the world and help other people. That's what I get to do. It's awesome. So you have a rich, full life to lead. You have important gifts to give to the world. You have a splash to make. So if that's what you want to do, head on over to my website, lindabucher.com. There's a whole page with like 7 freebies on it. Go get those freebies, everybody, so you can get to that next level and get the most out of life. Okay, back to today's episode. Declutter your mindset for prosperity. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Claire Noelle Frost. She is the owner of Bliss Coaching, and Claire is making big, beautiful ripples in a very unique way. Claire helps people to live more joyfully by removing stress over money. And right now, you're probably like, hell yes, that's what I want. So Claire, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Linda. It's wonderful to be here. I'm Claire Noelle Frost. I'm a certified life coach and clutter coach, and I help people remove their prosperity blocks, clear clutter from their budgets, and organize their money. It's really important to me to help people have more freedom and ease in their lives, and I serve those who worry about money, have no idea how much they are spending, are compulsive shoppers, and don't have ample savings for the future. The financial stability that I help people achieve is really crucial, and especially now, if you want to live in peace and just live within your means.
That's excellent. Really excellent. I love having an expert like you, on the show. And what's really different about you, there's a lot of money coaches out there, but being a certified life coach, like I am, and you are, we have extra tools. So I know what's really cool about you is you have like a mix of practical, how to budget, spreadsheets, like, finance, like that's part. And then you also have the mindset tools to help people with. So it's awesome that you've put those together, to achieve a different type of expert that maybe people aren't aware are out there. So it's awesome that you're on the show today. All right.
Thank you.
So let's start with money stress. It's got like some far-reaching tentacles, right? Like all over. So let's talk about how money stress shows up. What do you see in your clients when you're talking with them? Like, where are the stressors and what happens?
Well, a lot of people are having a lot of anxiety, difficulty sleeping, maybe even, emotional eating because they're, just stress eating, basically. And, a lot of people are in denial. They don't want to face their finances, but they've gotten to the point where they really have to make a change. And so they come to me because I have figured out how to have abundant finances, be in control. I've learned all kinds of tools to organize my finances so that I have savings for big emergencies, savings for various projects and house projects and things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm always saving for something, knowing that I'm going to need to spend it. And what I do is I really try to only spend on things that are truly important to me, things that just light me up, and I know I really can't live without them because they light up my soul. And
Mm.
if we do that, rather than try to live according to how our neighbors are living or our friends are living, just because they're doing it that way, and trying to, keeping up with the Joneses is kind is a way of expressing that. That's not going to get you the life that you really want to live, because it's draining you. It's draining you of energy that could be spent on something that's truly important to you.
So I like that you're bringing up, there's the obvious stressors, but even the keeping up with other people, that I should have this, even if the other people don't know, it is a source of stress itself. When you're
Mhm.
believing you should have something different than you have, you should be doing something different than you're doing. Basically, the underlying thing that's happening there is you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing it right. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And when we have this, I'm not good enough underlying, what happens is then we want more to feel good about ourselves. Well, so
Yeah.
then we go get more, which stresses the finances even more, right? And it's like this never-ending cycle. The belief that we aren't enough and we need more anything, even if we think we need more confidence, right? Oh, well, so I'm going to go buy this new makeup because that's going to get me confidence, right? I'm going to spend $85 on this thing because so-and-so on the internet says, you will look amazing. And then if I look amazing, I'll feel confident. So what happens is we're spending money to try to get things that you can't even get through money. Like that is so huge to know. So huge to know. So, yes, it affects your eating. It affects your sleeping. And then, you mentioned compulsive shopping. And can you just address a little bit about, there's big generational differences. I do a lot of work with 20 somethings. And in my generation, savings was kind of a thing. It was like definitely a thing. Retirement was a thing. We graduated from college, or if you don't go to college, you're still thinking about, I need a job with a good retirement. So that was our why. Today, the people in their 20s and 30s, that's not something that is occurring as much. It's not really their why, but also part of it is we're in an age, and I'd love for you to address this, of right now. I want it right now. And here I can just pick up my phone and buy it right now.
Yeah.
Can you address that a little?
Well, sure. I mean, attention spans are, historically low, I think, with you know, the advances in technology and everything just being like with TikTok and everything being, like 5 seconds long, and you just have to, make your brain like less and less able to digest, long periods of time. And yeah, so I think you're right about that. It's causing people to be more impulsive and not be really thinking about the long term in their life and the future. And I think also with young people struggling to they're struggling just to pay off their student loans, or even if they're inundated with these huge student loan debt that they have, and saving for retirement just seems impossible for so many.
Yeah, it really seems impossible. Um, Especially when they start thinking about the numbers they might need. So yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite quotes, I think it was Abraham Lincoln. He said, discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Isn't that a great one?
That's a great quote.
Yeah. So, but the internet is against us, right? So it's not that we're impulsive. We are not naturally impulsive, but the fact that that marketing copy is so good. That clickbait, like I'm a curious person. So that clickbait makes me click right through every time. Like, so like we almost don't have a chance. Like it's put in front of us in the most salivating way. You've got to have this, right? And then it shows you the benefits because these marketing people they're experts. They show you the benefits. You got to have this right now. Right. And then click here and you can have it right now. And then with quick shipping, you can have it tomorrow. It's going to show up at your door. I mean, it's really hard to move past something like that. I want it now. I've been salivating. It's like, there's been social psychology experiments with kids. John was telling me about this with kids where there was a marshmallow put in front of them. And it said, like, we're going to go away in 5 minutes. If that marshmallow's still here in 5 minutes, you can have 20 marshmallows. But if you eat it when we come back, you can't have any more. And every single kid ate the marshmallow. It's like humans, we want instant gratification.
Yeah.
So if we can shift our mindset for instant gratification in a way that helps us still save for the future or live within our means, reduce financial money stress, right? Maybe that is a key. How can we shift our mindset for instant gratification, but in a way that gets us what we want?
Well, there are things called money blocks or prosperity blocks, as I like to call them. And there are basically, there are 4 types of money blocks, 4 types of prosperity blocks, which one is procrastination, one is perfectionism, and one is self-sabotage. So I think the instant gratification thing you're talking about is self-sabotage. And then there are limiting beliefs. But I think self-sabotage, that's something that, I think honestly is more, a lot of times has to do with self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we feel like we're not good enough, unless we buy something, I think that's really a thing that affects us. We self-sabotage ourselves because we just kind of don't really value ourselves. We don't really value the long-term picture of our lives. And so we just kind of let ourselves do something that's not good for us in the long run.
So I like what you just brought up, Claire. When you value your long-term, you're actually valuing yourself.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to find a substitute, like a different type of instant gratification, right? It very well might be, I am worthy of a beautiful, financially free future.
Yeah.
I am worthy of that. And that feels good right now when you say that, right? Mm-hmm. So we can get to this right now feels good and our mindset that feels better than clicking on that thing and buying it. Or ignoring our finances because it makes us feel less than, or like ignoring because we might feel stupid about it. A lot of people are just like, I don't understand it. It makes me feel stupid. And so they're even afraid to tell people they don't understand it. Right. So, there's mindset shifts that we can start to think about and when we're caught, we catch ourselves. Really, you got to catch yourself in any of these things. Am I procrastinating? Am I being a perfectionist? Am I self-sabotaging? Am I, spending to make myself emotionally feel better about something else, right? When we're aware and shifting the story or what we're thinking about to something that feels really good. So like for example, if you're feeling dumb about finances, right? How did I get myself in so much debt? I'm dumb. I'm terrible. I have no discipline. These are negative stories. And these are not the stories that are going to help you get better with money, right? The stories that are going to help you get better with money, if you take each one of those, is you can find like a substitute, like didn't know how, but I'm willing to learn. That feels so much better. Yeah. And when you think like, I'm willing to learn. If someone can make it simple, like Claire, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to learn how, if someone can make it simple for me, I'm willing to, right. And it's really, this peace, we're talking about peace, right? We're after peace. And so any time we think that we're not good enough about something, we're not feeling peace. So I'm willing to learn is a really great way to start to feel at peace. I'm willing to learn. And then once I learn, I'll know more. And when I know more, I'll be able to do this thing. And this is how we achieve any goal. We learn as we go, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about prosperity. Okay. And what people tend to think about the term. What are some negative things people attach to the word prosperity?
Well, there's definitely a lot of taboo of the idea of, people who are, like eat the rich, or, people who are, rich are evil. They can never go to heaven. That's actually something out of the Bible that teaches all kinds of people that they could never, that it's a bad thing. And so I honestly don't think that prosperity and being greedy are the same thing, because prosperity is just wanting to enjoy your life and do something that's really purposeful and important to you. And I don't, hoarding money is actually not prosperity. Hoarding money and just having huge accumulations of money and not spending it at all is just, is basically, it's not allowing you to live a life of love and service and purpose. It's just, the money becomes stagnant. That's energy that's becoming stagnant, and it's not being used. And it's so I really feel that it's important to distinguish the difference between greed and prosperity.
Absolutely, yeah. And prosperity, not only is it not about greed, it's also not about giant sums of money. You can be prosperous on a lower salary than being prosperous and making $500,000 a year.
Absolutely.
It's not about a level of money. And another that, I'd like to bring up, I tell my kids when I'm talking to them about budgeting, like budgeting is an evil word to them because they associate budget with lack. And that's not true. I said, budgets is about abundance. It's not about lack. It's about getting what you want, knowing you have enough for it so that you don't feel in deficit.
Yes. And that's why I call my budget, which most people know what the word budget means, but on my own, computer, I call it an abundance spending plan. It's just about abundance and, having what I really want.
I love that. Yeah. It starts with, I tell my kids, it starts with knowledge. You got to know where it's going so that you can decide if you want to redirect it. You don't have to. If you're like, I spend, $60 a week on DoorDash and that's what I like. It makes my life better. Well, then keep spending your $60 a week on DoorDash. To me, I'd be like, that would not make my life better because I would be like, spend $20 on a $5 taco, But for them, there's a value maybe in not having to go anywhere to get that delicious taco from their favorite place, right? So they're willing to do it. But it's really about knowledge. Know where it goes, and then you can discern and you can say, is this what I want most versus what I want right now? And it doesn't mean you beat yourself up if you chose what you want right now. You just keep maybe remembering Abraham Lincoln.
Exactly.
This most. Which do I want most? The convenience of a $20, $5 taco, or, would I like to, lower my credit card payment so that I don't have to pay $500 a month, right?
Yeah.
So that I can get down to $300 a month because that would be less strangling, right? Or something I really would like in the future. I know I'm going to need a new car in 2 years. And I know if 2 years I was still exactly where I am today, would I be able to get that new car when it dies? If the answer is no, then I got to be thinking about that car. What I want most is to be able to always have a way to get to work, right? So what do you want most? Thinking about that. Yeah. So I love that you mentioned it's about really having the most meaningful things and a happy life. So what's meaningful is not the same as what's going to make me feel good right now.
Hmm.
Um, and because sometimes what's going to make you feel good right now is that taco. And then later you're like, oh, I don't feel so good about that taco. Right? So it's most meaningful. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about now um, what's like how to declutter your mind for prosperity. Like what's something people can do. You brought up that there are 22 limiting beliefs that block you from prosperity, right?
That I've identified.
You've
Yes.
identified that, right? Most of them fall in a category. They're just a repeat in a little different way. So I love that you've identified that. So let's just talk about a simple process that people can do that could be applied to all 22. But let's like pick one. Just pick one of these limiting beliefs and share how you might help people move through this limiting belief.
Well, the first one, which I mentioned earlier a little bit, is, negative stories that you were told about money in your childhood. So that, in our childhood, that's really where the root of all of our beliefs start, because all of our brain is constantly expanding and we're absorbing so much information about everything we're hearing from our parents and our culture. And so one of the negative stories that many people are told is, money doesn't grow on trees, or, there's a sense of lack. And so if you are believing that, it's really important to ask yourself, how am I feeling when I believe, that there's a scarcity mindset, that, that there isn't enough, basically. And if you identify that thought and you look at the thought to yourself and separate yourself from the thought and examine it, and if you think about how you're feeling when you feel that sense of there isn't enough, that's that's something that, for a child to hear, it's just like it really impacts their sense of safety and security. And so if you ask yourself that, you may feel that sense of insecurity about the future, or just even right now. And so an important thing to ask yourself as well is, what would life be like if you couldn't believe that thought? You have to kind of question, are these thoughts really true, that there isn't enough? And um, you know, what my clients find is that when they start questioning these thoughts, all of a sudden they're able to imagine life without those thoughts and those beliefs. And it's like another world is being discovered.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I use a very similar tool, as you know, for mindset shifts. And it's really when people recognize that it's not the situation, it's what they believe about the situation that causes them the stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety, that I don't feel safe, I don't feel secure, the insecurity. When they realize it's just what I'm thinking about it, their world opens up like, wait a minute. And then you ask them the question, I ask them the question. So just imagine you took a nap and you woke up and that thought couldn't, form itself in
Yeah.
your head anymore. Then what might life be like if you
Yeah.
didn't believe there wasn't enough money? If you couldn't believe that, not didn't, but if you couldn't believe it, right? Like what would be different? How would you feel if you couldn't believe it? And then
Yeah.
what would you do differently? Would your sleeping be better? Would your eating be better? If, and what would you do? What would be different? And maybe the answer is, oh, I would buy more stuff. Like that's okay. The point is about happiness, right? You
Yeah.
felt stressed and insecure and anxious with that thought. And without it, you wouldn't feel those things. And how we feel totally informs what we do, all of our actions. So if you fix how you feel, you'll fix how you act and you'll fix your results. And how do you fix how you feel? By shifting your mindset.
Yeah, and another thing to do after that is to replace the original thought with the opposite, sort of like there is enough, and just try to find evidence to support that new belief to help you form a new sense of abundance and just counting your blessings, counting everything that you have in your life physically, everything in your space that you live in, and just be grateful for everything you have. Be grateful for everyone you've ever met, whether they're even if you don't have a large network of people, just you know, it can allow you to become more open and able to meet new people that can bring, joy and abundance into your life.
Yeah, that's really true. The ripple effect of feeling abundant already,
Yeah.
feeling abundant already, maybe listing on a piece of paper all the ways in which I'm already rich.
Yeah.
I'm already abundant. I'm abundant
Mhm.
in love. I'm abundant in friends. I'm abundant in time. Like there's so many good things. And if you look at those are really important.
Yeah.
And perhaps, we're not in as much lack as we think. But again, all the things we're told on the internet, about, oh, you should have this yacht. You should have this house. You should drive this car, right? And really saying, am I going to believe that I really should? Look at all the things I already have. Which is more important,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean you might not get that car someday, because what you said, and I love it, is it opens up. When you feel abundance, it opens up that energy. It opens up more abundance to come your way. When you feel like there's not enough and you're graspy, that is not the energy from which you are going to find your next job, find your next opportunity, right? You're not like, that doesn't come from that graspiness. That comes from, it's that belief. It's already done. It's already done. It's coming my way. It's all coming my way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, Claire, thank you so much. Now, we're talking about a little bit of a way to help people to shift the limiting beliefs. So you mentioned, I'm just going to recap it for people so they have it. Like, one, how do you feel when you believe the thought and what happens, right? What do you do, right? How do you feel? What do you do, right? It's definitely stressing you out. Two, if you couldn't believe it, what might be different? How might you feel? What might be different in those different areas? And three, find ways that the opposite of that thought are also true. Even if it doesn't apply to you, maybe it applies to someone else. Like, oh, it has been done before. There is plenty, right?
Yeah.
That's the 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, this 1, 2, 3, I know, is ridiculously powerful in shifting mindset. So powerful. It seems so simple, and it is so simple, but it's profound. It's crazy profound. This is the tool I use when I identify a limiting belief that I'm having regarding any money or anything else, right? So if this is working for someone who's one of our listeners who's listening, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I kind of like that. And they're like, wait a minute, can I do that on those other 22 limiting beliefs? like, what are the rest? I want to release those blocks. I want to think differently about money in all, so what can someone do to, like, what are the other two limiting beliefs? 22. You don't have to say them right now. I know you can give them to people. How can they get them?
Well, if you sign up for if you join my community by May 22nd, you'll receive my next article, which has all of the 22 limiting beliefs that block prosperity. And it's free to join. So you can just go to clairenoellefrost.com, and it's easy. At the top of the page, you'll see it.
So if they sign up like today or whatever, it'll be like on May 22nd, they'll get 22 limiting beliefs. 22.
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as you get it, as soon as you sign up before May 22nd.
Right. Okay. All right. Perfect. That's really great. Awesome. Okay. Well, Claire, thank you so much for being on Conversations Worth Your While. I definitely appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Linda.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone, that is our show. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people to know their worth, to share their gifts, and deliberately create big, beautiful ripples in this world. So if you're finally ready to get unstuck, get to the next level, and get the most out of life, go on my website. There's so many freebies that will help you do that all on your own. Okay, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast and like this episode, right? Share it with someone you care about. Share it with other people, because the tools that we're talking about with using money today are applicable to any mindset shifts you might wanting to be making. Okay. And then come back next week for another great show to help you grow. Until next time, make sure you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.